This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Democrats are still teeing up tomorrow, Tuesday, to be the final day to pass the infrastructure bill and Build Back Better bill. I'll give you the latest of what's going on with those packages. I'll play a few different video clips. One video clip from Pete Buttigieg being drilled by Fox News and talking about timeline. Another video clip from Bernie Sanders responding to Joe Manchin's demands. And also, Kirsten Sinema was officiating a wedding and a bunch of activists were outside there. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also, we'll go over this article right here. 1 million new stimulus checks were just sent, and here's who got them, and I'll give you some other more important updates as well. Hope you're having a great Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. So let's start with this article first. 1 million new stimulus checks were just sent, and here's who got them. Any stimulus check articles I like to share with you and point out the truth in it, and also kind of point out misleading headlines. So 1 million new stimulus checks, what's going on with this? So this is referring to the California stimulus check, not general stimulus checks, but just in California. What it's saying here is most direct deposit payments will be issued between September 1st, 2021 and October 31st, 2021. Some payments may need extra time to process accuracy and completeness. So these are the $500 and $600 checks just going out to Californians if you make less than $75,000. This article right here, student loans dropped again from major legislation, but Democrats still think Biden should cancel student debt. So it's talking about student loan forgiveness here, that it was part of the big plan, really wasn't part of that $3.5 trillion plan. So sort of another misleading headline, because student loans, or at least federally, were never part of any major legislation, and many Democrats are still pushing for President Biden to cancel student loans. So sort of a misleading headline right there as well. Also, let's talk timeline. House aims to pass infrastructure and social spending bills on Tuesday. So tomorrow, Tuesday, is supposed to be the day. We haven't even gotten any confirmation that the Build Back Better bill, which is now down to $1.75 trillion, that has been finalized, especially since yesterday Bernie Sanders was talking about making changes to it. So we'll see what happens with that. A lot of deadlines are passing, and it just makes the people more unhappy. If they're going to say Tuesday, there should be accountability, saying if it doesn't pass Tuesday, then we're not going to get paid. Or, like Congress members won't get a paycheck until they pass it. Then I'm sure it would pass right away. But there's no accountability, there's no consequences if it doesn't pass. So that's one of the things I don't like about that. When it comes to Joe Manchin, so Manchin said paid leave programs could entice fraud, inquired about work requirements. So Joe Manchin, not a fan of the paid leave as well. So Manchin pointed to the potential fraud as one of his concerns about paid leave. Manchin's opposition to federal paid leave has caused consternation among many of his colleagues, and Senator Pat Murray said last week that she objected to one man denying U.S. women paid leave. So Joe Manchin making more demands, saying that he's not in support of paid leave. Let me know your thoughts. Do you believe in federal paid leave? Is that a good idea, bad idea? Is it going to help the workforce, hurt the workforce? Here is a video clip from Bernie Sanders responding to Joe Manchin's demands.
One of the reasons, and I know you've spoken to him and you've heard him say publicly, Senator Joe Manchin refuses to endorse some of the Medicare expansion in this is because he believes that the inflation crisis in this country is very bad, and that also on Medicare coverage, he believes that expanding Medicare, which is what you're saying should be done, will hurt the actual underlying will hurt the trust fund and make it hard for people to get basic Medicare. How do you convince him that he's wrong on that?
Well, the way to convince him, and the simple reality is, we are paying for this. Inflation today is a serious issue, no question about it. But what we are doing in this legislation is demanding that the wealthiest people and largest corporations start paying their fair share of taxes. This bill is going to be totally paid for. And in terms of Medicare solvency, I have no objection. I think it's a good idea that we raise additional revenue by lowering the cost of saving taxpayers' money in Medicare and putting that into expanding Medicare solvency. I am supportive of that idea.
So let me just follow up on one part of this, which is people don't understand maybe why there's such a fight here. And it is because there are philosophical differences within the Democratic caucus, big ones. And you say this is going to be paid for. Joe Manchin just doesn't believe it and believes it will add to the debt and the deficit, and it will contribute to big government spending, and he doesn't
Look,
think that's the way to go. How do you bridge that gap?
Well, but 48. Well, let's also back up a little bit and make sure everybody understands. There are 100 members of the United States Senate. Unfortunately, we do not have one Republican who is prepared to take on the pharmaceutical industry, take on the private health insurance companies. Not one Republican prepared to go forward to deal with the crisis of climate. Not one Republican prepared to say to the richest people and largest corporations, they're going to have to pay their fair share of taxes. So we're down to 50 people. And anytime you get 50 people with different ideologies coming from different parts of the country, there are going to be differences of opinion.
So given that reality,
and that is, believe me, what we are struggling with right now.
Sorry to interrupt you. Given that reality, do you believe that House progressives should insist on a public commitment from Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema before they vote yes on either of these bills this week?
I think there has got to be a framework agreed upon in the Senate that all of us know is going to be implemented before the members of the House vote. Yes, I do.
And how would that manifest itself? Do you want them to make public statements?
Well, it will be a framework. Yeah, well, you're going to have a piece of paper which will say this is going to be in the bill. You don't have to have all of the legislative language, but you have to have a statement which says A, B, C, D, and E is going to be in the package, and 50 members of the Senate are supporting it.
So until Senator Manchin, Senator Sinema do that, you don't think the House should vote?
Well, I think that the House I think we can put that together within the next short period of time. Look, this thing has dragged on forever, but I think when the American people see the results of what we are trying to do and understand that for the first time really in the modern history of this country, we are attempting to tackle the real crises facing working families, the massive income and wealth inequality that we have, I think the American people will be very pleased and understand the government is now starting to work for them rather than the big money.
And just real quick, you have conversations with them. I know with Senator Manchin, he's not on board yet. It sounds like, based on your private conversations.
Look, we have 50 people that we have got to get on board. This is not easy stuff. But what we are trying to do is put together the most consequential piece of legislation in the modern history of this country, which will transform the role of government in protecting the needs of working families.
What are your thoughts on what Bernie Sanders had to say? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. So Pete Buttigieg, who is the Transportation Secretary, defends social bill, saying he is optimistic it will pass. Here are some tough questions from Fox News host.
Joining us now, Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. Mr. Secretary, President Biden went to Capitol Hill on Thursday, and he told House Democrats this. Let me put it on the screen. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the House and Senate majorities and my presidency will be determined by what happens in the next week. The immediate response was that House Democrats could not muster the majority to pass his infrastructure bill. Can you guarantee that House Democrats, again, it's just your party, will pass either of these bills this week? And there's talk right now that they may try to pass both on Tuesday.
Well, what I know is we're the closest that we've ever been, and it looks like we're teed up for major action soon. And the president is sounding that note of urgency, not just because the president needs it, but because the country needs it. You look at the need for action on climate before it's too late. You look at the need to support our economy for the long run, to make our economy more competitive, to deal with issues like inflation, which will benefit. We will have better tools for fighting inflation if we pass this economic package. The urgency of supporting families with things like that tax credit, that tax cut effectively, for something like 35 million families with children in this country, putting money directly in the pockets of Americans who know best how to spend it for their families, making sure we have preschool across this country. So many things that we need to do, both on the family side and then, of course, the stuff I've been working on all year, getting our roads and bridges and ports and airports and so much more, those urgently needed improvements that we've needed for years, honestly, have needed for decades.
You have talked in that answer, I think you said 3 or 4 times you used the word urgent, but let's look at some of the issues that, as we talk today, are still unresolved. Allowing Medicare to negotiate lower drug prices, paid family and medical leave, raising the cap on state and local tax deductions, beefing up the IRS to go after tax cheats. Here's Democratic Senator Bernie Sanders.
It is a major, major step forward. But clearly, to my mind, it has some major gaps in it.
Again, you talk about teed up for action and urgency. Can you guarantee that all of these issues, and these are issues just among Democrats and Republicans are out of it, can you guarantee that all of these issues will be resolved by the Democrats this week?
Well, what I can tell you is that what's in the framework is utterly transformational and historic. Finally getting preschool for every kid in this country, making childcare affordable for every family in this country. The biggest action we've done on climate ever in U.S. history. Obviously, all the transportation work. These are huge benefits. You think about what it would mean to American families who are looking at these electric vehicles coming on the market to get that discount of up to $12,500 so that you could buy one of these electric vehicles and never have to worry about gas prices again. These are real concrete things for the American people, and taken together, just the framework that's been put forward would represent one of the biggest achievements in my lifetime for really any member of the House, the Senate, any president would be proud of that. Is there more that we could be working on, more that we hope to do? Of course there is, and we'll keep fighting for it. But what we have on the table right this minute in this framework is historic. It's good policy, and of course good policy is good politics.
You're a good spokesman for the administration, but you didn't answer my question, so I'm going to assume the answer is no, you can't guarantee the Democrats are going to pass one, let alone both bills this week.
Well, again, we're the closest we've ever been. I don't speak for members of the House or the Senate, but I can tell you this administration is ready to go, and I can tell you the president put forward this framework with this particular shape because he is confident that it can get through the House and the Senate, and that's after engaging members of all corners of our Democratic Party, not to mention an awful lot of Republicans, over the course of a year. There's been so much back and forth, there's been so much give and take, and what we've arrived at, it's not perfect, it's not what everybody wanted, but it is enormously important, beneficial, good for the American people, and that's why we think it will and must pass.
Critics say that instead of focusing on these issues, that the president and Democrats in the House and Senate should be focusing on the issues that Americans care about most. You mentioned one of them in your first answer, and that's inflation. Gas prices have jumped from $2.14 a gallon a year ago to $3.41 now. Natural gas prices have more than doubled. And, Mr. Secretary, in September, consumer prices rose at the fastest pace in 30 years. So instead of, I'm not denying or denigrating some of these social policies, but that's what Americans are most concerned about is inflation.
So glad you raised this, Chris. This is extremely important. This bill will fight inflation. The reason this bill will fight inflation, among other things, is that we have a drag on our economy in labor supply because a lot of parents aren't going back to work because they can't find childcare. Now, you're going to see some politicians, maybe even on this program, saying that up is down and black is white, and somehow saying the opposite. But let me be clear. This bill will fight inflation. And when I say that, that's not just me as a representative. Hold on, this is very important, Chris. 17 Nobel Prize-winning economists have signed a letter talking about how the president's pro-family policies in this package will help fight inflation. Moody's and other Wall Street analytics firms have talked about how the president's bill will fight inflation.
But, Mr. Secretary, this administration has been talking down, minimizing inflation for months. I mean, you know the word that keeps being used by this administration. I suspect you've said it, transitory. The fact is it isn't transitory. You want to talk about experts. The former Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton, former top economic advisor to Barack Obama, Larry Summers, has been talking about inflation for months. And a lot of people worry that when you take an inflationary, overheated economy and you add $3 trillion, which is what these two bills would do, $3 trillion in new government spending, you're going to make it even worse. And there are a lot of economic experts who say, pass it or not pass it, inflation will continue well into 2022.
Pete Buttigieg not really giving much information, sort of generic responses. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is supposed to be the day that it passes, although we haven't heard any finalized news or any big announcements. No consequences if it doesn't pass, and no accountability. So I'll keep you updated on that. I want to get your opinion on this. So activists demonstrate outside wedding officiated by Kyrsten Sinema. So Kyrsten Sinema having a hard time with her personal life. I guess her Senate life is spilling over into her personal life. Activists have followed her into the bathroom. Now activists are following her outside of a wedding that she officiated. Are there any boundaries? Are there any limits? Take a view of this short video clip showing this, the mother crying outside the wedding, and let me know your thoughts on that.
Stop! Trump in a tutu! Trump in a tutu! This is a wedding. Trump in a tutu! Do you know this is a wedding? Trump it's a wedding.
Hi, thanks for ruining my wedding. I really appreciate it.
You know what? She's ruining our life. That's my sorry.
It's just my wedding.
I know. I'm beautiful. You
Well,
are.
I really wish I could enjoy my wedding without you ruining it.
I know you do. This person is not my daughter. My daughter's getting married. Will you tell her that?
Did you invite Sinema? Is Sinema really here?
No, listen. Tell her that we don't like what she's doing to our country.
How did you invite this woman?
You know what? Tell her.
Totally corrupted the whole country.
Tell her.
I don't disagree with any of you people and your point of view and your rights. It's my daughter's wedding.
So throw her out.
Please just go down to the corner for 1 hour. Please. It's my daughter's wedding.
Do you think the activists went too far? Are weddings off limits? Should Kyrsten Sinema still get to enjoy her personal life despite her political beliefs and her political behavior? Is there a crossover? Should there be limits? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. And that is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To hopefully brighten your day a bit, here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is the tip of the day. Want me to tell you the one thing that you should do? You should, when you feel bad, take a couple deep breaths in and out. And also, after that, you can realize that things are better. So, bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. Hopefully you are having a great Monday and hopefully have a great rest of the week. Happy November to you. Can't believe it's November as of now. Anyways, if you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click up here or down here and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.